Welcome back. Close to 80 learners have allegedly dropped out of school at Gwebityala Senior Secondary School in Elliotdale in the Eastern Cape. And this is after a scholar transport stopped ferrying them in the previous school term. They have to walk 24 kilometres to school, crossing rivers and forests. And for more on this, we now speak to SABC News reporter Nomzwanele Ngoma. She joins us now via our telephone line. Nomzwanele, thank you so much for your time and thanks for joining us this evening. One would ask, when looking at that story, it's quite saddening and disheartening to seeing at least 80 of these pupils resorting to drop out of school because of transport issues.
Greetings to you, Mbali, and to the viewers at home. Yes, it is a very disturbing story because we've been doing these stories about scholar transport, but still the challenge is still going on. And these stories are mostly in rural areas, so meaning the affected learners that are mostly affected are from rural areas. And when we spoke to some parents that we met in this area, some learners have dropped out, and the remaining learners, they skip school. And if they don't skip school, they get to school late and they get sent back. And some parents are also considering that their learners can just stay at home and not go to school, because some of their concerns is not just getting to school late or them dropping out, but it's their safety, the roads that they have to travel getting to school. And one parent also mentioned that I think sometime last week or 2 weeks back, there was a child that was raped and killed in one of the areas or the roads that these learners use to get to school. So those are the challenges that they are facing. And speaking to the person that is monitoring the scholar transport, that transport learners from Mbame, Mtikan, and other areas that are far from school, she also mentioned that she noticed that these learners are not coming to school because what she usually does, now that there's no scholar transport, she used to wake up in the morning and go to the gate of the school so that she can be there and ask the teachers to let them in, and explain the reason why they are late. So it's a really a painful situation to see learners seeing their future just passing them by, because most of them, even their parents, are not educated, and now it's going to fall on them just because there is no scholar transport.
Very painful indeed, Nomzwanele, especially when you are saying that at the same time, these learners, because there's no scholar transport, they have to walk at least 24 kilometres just to reach their respective schools. At the same time, it also must have been very difficult for these parents to resort to telling their children to rather opt to stay at home and not go to school. What is the response we are seeing from the school governing body to ensuring that there is some sort of transport, and whether they are indeed reaching out to the Department of Transport?
When I spoke to the SGB, the first thing that they told us was that they struggled for years to get a scholar transport for these learners. They only got a transport this year, and it did not even operate for 3 months because in the previous term, some learners were not able to finish writing exams because it was no longer ferrying them. And they were saying that they are also planning to go back to the office of the Premier and tell them that they are facing this situation now. But there is another community development worker that I spoke to. He did mention that he spoke to the MEC of Transport, but at the moment he was told that their issue will be attended to. There's no something strong or something that shows that they are really going to take an action quick on this matter. But we also, as we've been covering these stories in Bali, there were resolutions that were made because there were engagements from the transport from taxi operators and relevant stakeholders or departments. There were engagements and there were resolutions, and one of those resolutions was to ensure that all payments, because this thing of scholar transport stopping ferrying learners is because there are no payments. They don't get paid. So one of the resolutions that we made was to ensure that all payments are made by the 10th of May, which is not the case. And before earlier today, I spoke to the chairperson of Santaco in the province, Mr. Zolayolelo, and he also mentioned that they will have another meeting with the Department of Transport, the MSC, and the Department of Education to try and find other ways in resolving this matter. And he also mentioned that after finding or having a meeting and getting to a decision, after that, they'll only give them a month to make sure that all payments are made, all the decisions that were taken are being implemented. If not, they will take them to court or they will just stop all the scholar transport will stop operating.
Have you reached out perhaps, Nomzwanele, to the Department of Transport? Because, I mean, you're saying that this is an issue due to non-payments to, of course, that transportation that ferries these learners.
When I spoke to the spokesperson of Transport earlier today, he promised to look into the matter, but he also mentioned that the reason why they are delaying making these payments is because because of financial constraints. So at the moment, that is the only response that I got at the moment. But he did promise to look into the matter and get back to me with more details, because I also mentioned that it's not a matter of knowing that they have financial problems, but to look into the matter and try to find ways of resolving it, because it is affecting a lot of learners. If you look at the number, close to 80 learners that are being affected.
All right, Nomzwanele, thank you so much for that update. That's our reporter, the SABC News reporter in the Eastern Cape, Nomzwanele Ngoma, just giving us an update when it comes to that story around 80 pupils from the Eastern Cape and Elliotdale who are unable to go to school because of the issues around transportation. And Nomzwanele there saying that this is due to non-payments of that transportation, that scholar transport that was meant to, of course, ferry these learners.